Hi, VencoreWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday, November 2nd. Warmer air has pushed back into the mid-Atlantic region. We'll kind of have a back and forth pattern over the next several days between warmer and cooler. Nothing dramatic on either the warm side or the cold side, but again, warmer today and tomorrow. It'll turn cooler this weekend, which, by the way, is the turn the clocks back weekend. Early Sunday morning, it's time to turn the clocks back. Then we turn warmer again early next week and cooler again by the middle part of next week. Before we get into the local weather conditions and the weekend outlook, I thought we'd take a look at a few different areas around the world in terms of the upcoming winter. This time of the year, it's always important and useful to take a look at snowpack over potential cold air sources for the Mid-Atlantic region for the upcoming winter season. Specifically, we'll take a look at Canada, Greenland, and across the North Pole in Asia, specifically the area of Siberia, often gives us a clue as to what to expect in the upcoming winter season. First of all, over Canada, certainly an important cold air source for the central and eastern U.S. This is the forecast map from the GFS model from last night, 06Z run, for total snowfall over the next 10 days. Not unexpected to see snow this time of the year in Canada. What is rather impressive, though, is how widespread it is. Basically, this entire area here to our north gets accumulating snow over the next 10 days. So this is one area of interest, and indeed, it looks like it'll pile up some snow from coast to coast in Canada over the next 10 days, and that could be important. Basically, what happens as the nights grow longer, if there's a deep snowpack, you almost inevitably will get a cold air mass to form over maybe a several day or even several week time period, and this will repeat throughout the winter season. But Canada, certainly an important potential cold air source for the central and eastern U.S. Looks like it'll build up a decent snowpack over the next 10 days or so. Well, one other area that can be an important cold air source, not often thought of as a cold air source, is Greenland. And it certainly has piled up some ice and snow, not only over the past few weeks, past few months, but really for the last year or so. It's been running at well above normal levels. This is a plot put together by the Danish Meteorological Institute, DMI. And where we stand right now is right here, the end of this blue line right here, in terms of accumulated snow and ice on Greenland. The gray area marks the standard deviations for the mean, around the mean. This mean is based on the period 1981 to 2010. We've been running at the very top level of that normal area, or even above normal. Very, very high levels relative to normal of snow and ice on Greenland, and really it's been like that for the last year or so. This particular line here represents 2016, 2017, last year going into this year, and it was way above normal throughout most of the year, at the very top levels of normal going into the summer, and here we are now coming in through the fall and approaching the winter season, and again, very high levels relative to normal over Greenland. So now we have Canada building up a pretty good snowpack over the next 10 days. Greenland has had, and looks like we'll continue to have, a pretty decent snow and ice pack for the coming days. Well, one last area I'd like to show is Siberia. Research studies have shown that if the snowpack increases dramatically during the month of October, especially south of 60 degrees latitude, that is a pretty good indicator that there can be some high latitude blocking events during the upcoming weekend, winter season. And we focused in on this particular factor during the winter outlook that we posted about a week ago, so you can take a look at that for more details on this particular phenomenon called high latitude blocking. Basically, if snow increases to above normal levels on a consistent basis during October, cold air masses develop, and certainly they can cross the pole and come into Canada and the northern part of the U.S. So Siberia, in addition to Greenland and Canada, is another area of interest this time of the year. Well, on the left here, we have the snow map over Siberia as of the 1st of October, and on the right, the last of October here, just a couple of days ago, October 31st. Certainly a pretty dramatic increase during October over Siberia. And again, this is an important cold air source, potentially important cold air source for the northern U.S. Now, while it is above normal and certainly a dramatic increase from the beginning of the month, it's not quite as extensive of a snowpack as we've experienced over the past few years. But basically, these three areas of interest, Canada, Greenland, and Siberia, certainly give some indication that there will be some cold air masses developing over the next several weeks as the nights grow longer. Now, having said that, it's not a guarantee that all that cold air moves into the central or eastern U.S. It could, for example, be confined to the western part of the U.S. However, it's certainly an increasing likelihood for some cold air outbreaks in the central and eastern part of the U.S. during the upcoming winter season, given the fact that the snowpack looks pretty impressive in Canada, Greenland, and across the North Pole in Siberia. Well, let's now get back home and take a look at the local weather situation for the upcoming weekend. Again, this is the weekend in which we turn the clocks back early Sunday morning. Nothing too dramatic over the next several days. A little bit warmer today and tomorrow, then a little bit cooler over the weekend, a little bit warmer early next week, and a little bit cooler by the middle part of the week. Here's the forecast map from the 060 GFS. All these maps available on tropicaltidbits.com. We'll walk through in 6-hour increments. There's some fog around this morning. Can be a shower over the next couple of hours. However, the sky should at least clear partially, allowing for some partial sunshine this afternoon and high temperatures in the 70s in D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City. By tonight, partly to mostly cloudy skies. Patchy fog certainly can develop again late tonight, especially in suburban areas to the west and north of the big cities in the I-95 corridor. As we go into the day tomorrow, a band of showers to the west, kind of a repeat performance. Some clouds, some sun tomorrow, probably highs in the 70s again. Cannot rule out a shower. Then notice this high pressure area building by tomorrow night over southeastern Canada. Cold frontal system swings through the I-95 corridor Friday night. It'll turn noticeably cooler by Saturday morning thanks to this high pressure system. That high tends to dominate on Saturday. A cooler day, probably a good 10-degree drop between Friday afternoon and Saturday afternoon. Basically low 70s tomorrow, low 60s for highs on Saturday. Then it gets somewhat unsettled. Saturday night, Sunday, even Monday and Tuesday presents the possibility of some occasional showers. Not a heavy rain event, but occasional showers right into the early part of next week. Another frontal system comes through early next week, and that'll cool us down by the middle part of next week. So kind of a back and forth over the next several days here in the I-95 corridor between warmer and cooler, going right into the middle part of next week. That's it for now. For VencoreWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.